Welcome, everyone. February 24th, episode 27. Brew Media. Bobby Bones is on the air again. Yes, they did not take me down yet. Bastards. Look, we're going to talk about unemployment insurance, making firing great again, Social Security retirement, Social Security disability fraud.
In a world of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
Yeah. So look, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. Just give me 1 second here. Let me just get into this little program here that I've got going. Takes a second on this here. There's so much stuff, that it just sometimes takes a minute to load up. Oh, look, I already broke community standards. I didn't even say anything. So tonight we're going over some employment numbers, why they're all bullshit, right? We're going to talk about unemployment insurance and how millions of people are going to get to take the whole summer off while getting paid. Because, look, we're making firing great again. Hi, Isaac. How you doing, brother? So look, we're making firing great again. I also am going to dabble into retirement, Social Security, and disability scams as well. Please feel free to comment, share, like. Look, if you're not on Brew Media YouTube, you're a poser and a punk. Don't do that. Don't be the last poser not to show up at the party. Come in and join me over there. I got a lot of great graphics and stuff. Wait, somebody wants to say something? Thank you. This and a whole lot more, so strap yourself in, grab a nice cold drink, and let's get it started. Also, remember, if you do not exercise your freedoms, you're going to lose them, right? So that's what this is about. This is about exercising our freedoms. And, I'm already being throttled on this Facebook Live. I just got on. I didn't even say anything. The second I get on, boom, community standards. But that's okay. That's why I have 2 cameras doing this video. And so, you can cripple the link, Zuckerberg. Screw you. Because I'm going to get it anyway and upload it everywhere that I can. So you didn't win anyway. Story number 1. Look, I'm being told, and again, I'm not boasting, about being right, about the economy not being good, that the things we are being told as they should be are not. That the stuff that the media and eggheads are forcing down our throat is wrong. And that I'm right on inflation and the loss of purchasing power that still continues to burn away to this day. All that we've heard all throughout the election was how strong our economy is, and that unemployment is low, and that our economy is on fire. Well, the data and what the people are feeling tells a completely different story. That's why they threw the bums out. Unfortunately, they threw in a new set of bums, but that's neither here or now. Now, if you go across the country, you see more and more blight, more and more homelessness, more and more shops being boarded up, abandoned. It seems like every episode I am talking about new companies filing for Chapter 11, laying off hundreds, even thousands of people. Yet, where's the media? They're literally nowhere to be found. Tons of empty retail spaces piling up. And with all that, people are supposed to believe this is the golden age, right? This is the greatest economy we've ever had, right? If you believe that, man, do I have a lot of bridges to sell you. Now, think about this. Right now, outside of the Federal Reserve building, as we are, people are winding down for the night, ready to go to sleep, homeless encampments are piling up right outside of the Fed. Which is kind of fitting, being that they help destroy the dollar, help destroy prosperity, right? Because of the central planners. So let's dive into the data and show where the government is representing these numbers, so you then can pass that on to your friends and family to explain to them why these numbers are complete bullshit, right? So for instance, let's see. let's look at the U3 unemployment numbers. These numbers are grossly misrepresented. For instance, it counts people as fully employed who might only work a few hours a week. That is misrepresenting millions of people. The second thing is that it no longer takes into account people that have been discouraged to get a job, right? So, look, once you have been employed for so long, boom, you fall off, and they're like, oh, well, I guess we're not going to count you, right? Also, check this out. You could be literally homeless on the streets, making a few bucks for beer, pot, Coke. Maybe you want to buy some Poo-Tang, right? Or maybe you're just incapable of feeding your family, right? And the government would still count you employed as long as you worked a few hours. Of course, that is completely ridiculous. As I've talked about many times, how the government's formula to count the employed and unemployed is completely false. Check this out, guys. If you count people that cannot find full-time work as unemployed, and if you count people who make $25,000 or less below the poverty level, as we used to do, right? That's what I grew up with, okay? The percentage of unemployed would jump to a whopping 23.7%. That sounds a lot more realistic than the bullshit fake number of 4% that they keep trying to prostitute to us. So let's face it, if you're living below the poverty line, you cannot be making more than a few $100 per month. You are essentially unemployed. And to be honest, that's how you used to be counted, right? This means that on average, 1 in 4 people are technically unemployed by the basic definition that we used to use just a few decades ago. What this means, and now really think about this, and this is how I was able to predict so much, back in 2019, 20, 21. What this means is that the decisions and policies being made by the federal government and Federal Reserve are not adequate for the times we are living in, which is what we have been talking about for years, and is why problems have not been fixed yet, and won't be fixed as long as they read the data wrong or collect it wrong. Think about this. Where would interest rates be today had they read the unemployment rates correctly? Or how would the government be acting had they used a formula for adding up the unemployment as we used to? How the hell would voters act, right? I just can't believe how many people, they think I'm going to call it, Gulf of America, how that, helps their life. It doesn't. So of course, everybody would be acting completely different. This is the problem with our economy, and we push false numbers that affects millions of people. Just give me 1 second. Something is really technically wrong with my thing here. Let me see. Okay, here we go. And again, look, this show is under complete attack. I'm being completely attacked, completely throttled down. I'll have several people telling me several different numbers and comments that have come through that it don't even let me see anymore. Because again, the government, Zuckerberg, do not want this information to come through, because again, I speak out against both parties, right? I'm equal in calling out the bullshit on both sides. And we have to understand why the government changed how we formulate the data. They did this to make the politicians in both parties look better than they actually are. And many of these changes happened in the Clinton administration. And to be honest, every administration after Clinton just kept moving the goalpost. Same thing with the Federal Reserve. And they did that, to make themselves look better, right? Everybody, look, by hook or crook, right? They're going to make, they're going to make their administration look better. Right? It's the greatest ever, right? I mean, same problem. So you see and feel the economy getting worse, yet they're telling you in both parties that their economies are the greatest in history. Sorry, that is complete bullshit. Now I want to kind of dovetail off of that, right? Because now we know that the unemployment numbers are complete bullshit. I just proved it to you that 1 in 4 Americans are technically unemployed. And then we have a whole host of people collecting government checks, government stipends, welfare benefits, right? So now that we've made firing great again in America, right? Not just the public sector, but the private sector, right? It's like really cool now to fuck over your employees. And look, I have a lot of employees who work for me, right? But this is like, now they're looking at me like, oh, are you gonna go down this path of just firing people? Of course not. No, listen, you're loyal to me. You've been with me. You've done the right thing. You'll always have a job. Anybody who's ever worked for me or still works for me knows that, right? It's when you fuck with me that it's game over, right? Which is the way it should be. And I would expect them to treat me the same way in return. So I wanted to dive into the unemployment insurance fraud that would be taking place as a result of all these firings, right? So let's talk a little bit about unemployment insurance, which goes hand in hand with employment numbers, because usually when you use your job, you file for unemployment benefits. One of the biggest myths about people that are unemployed is that they cannot find a job. When in reality, the government is giving them many times a much better deal to sit home than to actually find a new job. Truth is, people love leisure, despite what the government tells you. And if they could get a check from the government to sit home, it covers their bills. Why not? I want to play an episode, just a small clip of Seinfeld, where George Costanza creates a completely fake company to continue getting his benefits. This is Seinfeld. If you've ever watched it, it's hysterical. In the episode, he also hits, like, there's an unemployment lady he's got to convince to give him the benefits. And so he hits on the unattractive daughter, like the woman's completely unattractive, to keep the checks coming. He even offers Mets player Keith Hernandez to come down to the unemployment office to keep the checks coming. He even creates an entire company, Vandalay Industries, to keep the benefits going. And so here's an episode from Seinfeld. It's just a few minutes long. It's 2 minutes. Check this out.
Did anybody call here asking for Vandalay Industries? No, what happened to you? All right, listen close. I was at the unemployment office, and I told them I was very close to getting a job with Vandalay Industries, and I gave them your phone number. So now, when the phone rang...
Hi, Amy. We're talking about unemployment insurance and the people that, we're going to take advantage of it now that we made firing great again.
She left there and said, Vandalay Industries.
Vandalay Industries?
Right.
What is that?
You're in latex.
Yeah.
And what do I do with latex?
Created out of thin air.
Manufacturing.
Right here in this little apartment?
And what do I say about you?
You're considering hiring me for your latex salesman.
I'm going to hire you as my latex salesman?
Right.
I don't think so. Why would I do that?
Mind you, he created this company out of whole cloth, right? He just created it, right? Because he wants to get the unemployment insurance.
Because I asked you to.
If you think I'm looking for someone to just sit at a desk, pushing papers around, you can forget it. That's what I just trying to manufacture this stuff.
Now, mind you, every time Jerry picks up the phone, he's got to say Vandalay Industries, right, to keep the scam going, in case the unemployment insurance calls.
Vandalay Industries.
Right.
Bill Varnson speaking. May we help you? Hey, what are you doing Friday night? Friday night? Nothing. Now.
You want to come with me and see the baby?
No. Fasten your seatbelts. We're going to see the baby.
Come on, if you don't see the baby now, you're never going to see her.
All right.
Yellow. What delay in
Now watch this. Kramer had no idea about Vandalay Industries.
history?
This classic. If you've ever seen it.
Now you're way off. Well, yeah, that's the right number, but this is an apartment.
Yeah.
Right. Say Vandalay. Yeah. He knows he just lost his benefits.
How did you know who that was?
Right. And there's George on the floor, in his underwear. His pants fell off because he was on the toilet. Yeah.
And you want to be my latex salesman.
Right. So, so the whole episode, it's sort of, talks about life, and that's how people act. Look, when you can get a benefit, right? You're going to take advantage of it, right? And the best part is that the government pretends that people love setting the alarm, that people love getting up early and racing through traffic, and taking orders from a boss, doing remedial jobs that have no satisfaction. That's all nonsense, right? Yeah, okay, sure, people live for that, So like every program, whenever government creates one, it gets abused by people. This is the part that Republicans and Democrats do not understand, right? There's no such thing as efficiency in government. That is complete bullshit. The best efficiency you can have is to just not have it, right? And the unemployment department is one of the biggest, and the way that the government writes the laws, it makes it much easier for an employee to file and win. This encourages people to game the system. Think about it. When unemployment, you get to get up late, you get to stay out late, hang out with your bros, right? Hang out with your girls, right? And you can have a great time, And truth is that most people who get unemployment benefits will not accept a job. They'll put off working until the very last payment drops in. I know people personally who have done this, and I bet you do too. You've probably done it yourself. Why? Because they would feel like a fool not taking the free cash. Nobody wants to be the fool to leave the money on the table, right? You paid into the system. Why not get the free check, right? Especially when you're younger, right? You don't have many responsibilities. It turns into a big vacation. Usually when you just start a job, you don't get to take a lot of time off, right? You can't tell your boss, hey, I want to take off for the summer, right? And usually the job you're working has no personal worth to you, right? You think working at the dollar store, Dollar General, Walmart, CVS, you think they usually give a shit about that job? Of course they don't give a damn, but look, if they can get that check, that'd be wonderful. You get to take off and hang out. But if you could trade in working at these jobs for a check and sit home, you'll do it, Even some higher paid jobs that blow, right? We just fired a whole bunch of people in government and in the private sector, right? And now, guess what? You're going to be paying them, right? You're going to be paying them to be partying, right? Well, you're the sucker. You're the sucker at work, right? When you think you think like, oh, look, we got these people back, right? No, actually, they've got you, right? They're going to be cashing in for the next 8-9 months.
Bobby, good evening to the handsome, smart, fantastic Bobby Bones.
Oh, thank you,
I hope
President
you're good
Trump.
in South Carolina, but I'm just here to say, make firing great again. Fire them all. Great show, buddy. Elon is picking me up in his Tesla. We are going to hit Hooters. Good night, Bobby Bones.
Hey, you better get there, Trump, pretty quick. Hey, President Trump. Hey, listen. Hooters is filing Chapter 11 in a few weeks, so that ought to be fun, right? So I guess, all those inflatable tops that they have, those breasts, didn't keep them afloat, right? They keep them afloat in the pool, but didn't keep them afloat at work. So, even some higher paid jobs that blow. Why not tell that boss who was riding you hard to go screw himself, right? And then what you do is, right, you just put in a false claim. They all do it. I've had it done to me, right? This happens all the time. They will screw up on purpose, right? This is why I say government cannot be efficient when they create a program, because once, like in the case, the employee learns how to fit into the box that the government has created to collect benefits, then you will manipulate your situation to get those benefits, right? So basically, the government creates a program, doesn't matter what it is. Could be food stamps, could be retirement benefits, right? Could be early retirement, could be disability, right? Could be Section 8, okay? What people do is they get on, they learn, they go, oh, this is what I got to do to get on. And guess what? They just fudge the numbers, right? Hey, they go to their boss and say, hey, hire me a little less. I can't work. I got to watch the kid. That ain't it. It's that they want to fit the box to get the program, right? And people lie all the time to get the benefits. And the politicians create these programs in both parties because that's how they buy voters, right? Nobody wants to vote for the guy who's going to cut their personal benefits. However, they will vote for the guy who expands them or pretends to save them. That's another new little scam we've got going on. We're seeing this real time in Social Security. If you get hired, you cannot tell your boss that you're taking off a month, right? But if you're in between jobs, that's when you want to take your time off, especially if you qualify for that unemployment check, right? Because now you're not only getting time off, but you get to get paid. So the best time to take an extended vacation is actually when you're between jobs. And again, look, I have seen both sides of this. I've seen people, I've had people, purposely screw up at their job so I fire them. I've had people, try to, get different hours and get, so they can, maybe they can, work for me and then, collect something on the side. And, of course, I'm too smart for that, right? I wouldn't fool for that, right? And so then they would do something on purpose to go get fired. And most young people, what they're doing is, what do? They're skiing, they're going traveling, you have lots of beach days, drinking with their buds, right? It's usually a great time to take a vacation, especially when you're younger, right? When you get those unemployment benefits, and truth be told, a lot of people feel that they don't want to lose their benefits because they don't want to be the sucker who has to go back to work to do a remedial job, right? I mean, who wants to be that guy? Also, there are many instances when your boss encourages you to take unemployment. I've seen this. It lessens the burn of being fired, right? And so the boss will aid the employee many times to get the check, especially if they are friends, right? I've seen this firsthand. The boss is like, look, I cannot pay you. I'm slow for the winter or whatever it is. Yeah, go slip into unemployment. We'll do the papers together. And then, look, when I pick up with work in about 8 months or 6 months or whatever, you come back to work. It becomes a win-win for both people, right? Now the boss gets to tighten his belt for a few months and the employee gets paid knowing they still have a job. So they just hang out for however long he or she can cash in. They want to take advantage of it. Or they feel like suckers. This is what happens with every welfare benefit. You have millions of people receiving government checks, and they would feel foolish to give them up for work, even if they can make more money working. I've seen it. When you're young, or maybe you have your home paid off, work isn't fun, right? I want to bring up something that Obama said. I'll never forget this. During the crisis, he made one of the most asinine comments I've ever heard regarding unemployment insurance. He said, and I quote, "I've never met anybody who would rather have a vacation than the pride of work." And I mean, only a stupid politician would say something so fucking stupid, to be honest. People love vacations. I know people, they've gone into debt to go to vacation, right? I mean, they're willing to rack up their credit cards, right? They'll take out a loan, right? They will miss their car payments to go on vacation, right? What is this idiot talking about? You know, and that's why I'm going to dovetail into Social Security. I'm going to give you an example with Social Security. You know, everybody talks about, oh, you know, the reason why Social Security doesn't work is because people are living longer. Well, how about you count up all the people who get retirement Social Security who can still work? Oh, nobody talks about that, right? Because why, right? Because you've paid into it, right? You were forced into paying for this Ponzi scheme, right? And now you fit the box to collect that benefit. Hey, you're in perfect shape, right? You can go skiing, right? You can go out to the beach and have a great time, right? Go smoke and drink and have whatever you're doing, right? So it's just like unemployment insurance. You know, you have millions of able-bodied people that could stay working, but choose to collect a check. Why? Because they feel entitled to it, right? That's why they're called entitlements. And this is what I would tell Obama, why aren't people working till they drop dead, right? The only suckers that have to work while on Social Security are the suckers that can't afford to live on the check, right? They're the only suckers that are working, right? Because think about it, right? If you qualify for Social Security, right? Like you just hit the age. So a lot of people even file early retirement, right? They're willing to take the hit just so they don't have to go back to that job, right? Again, if they fit the box, right? They're going to take the check, right? They're not an idiot, right? They're not like, oh, yeah, I have so much work at this job, right? I want to die here, right? That's ridiculous. So unemployment insurance is a lot like Social Security when you have millions of people that could be continuing to work, helping to produce stuff, right? Helping to bring down the cost of living, but opt out once they check the box of qualification. Listen, and now I'm going to dovetail into Social Security disability insurance. Why are so many healthy people always filing for disability? Because it's more fun to hang out, right? You can collect a check, right? It sucks going to that job, right? Nobody wants to do that. And with disability, once you get on, you become a lifetime member, right? You're going to get checks forever. Free healthcare, free checks. Hey, it's a great time. In this fraud, you have doctors and lawyers in the scam as well, right? They're getting paid too, right? If they put your claim in, they get paid. This is, only government can create scams like this, right? Where, you're actually paying other people to benefit from your benefit. And again, is Fox News talking about this? Is CNN talking about this? MSNBC? No, nobody. Newsmax, whatever that one channel is, all these bullshit channels, Tucker Carlson, he ain't talking about it. None of these guys are talking about it. Not even your new hero and political god, Elon Musk. He is not talking about this. This is the real fraud. The fraud are the programs themselves, right? You cannot make Ponzi schemes not fraud, right? Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, right? By definition, okay? Charles Ponzi would be in awe at what the government created, right? But I want to tell you a story. I remember going to Home Depot a few months ago. Now, if you want to see fraud, right, you want to catch it in your own town, go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Go there and just sit there for 30 minutes. I guarantee you within 30 minutes, you will see people use the handicap parking spaces. And I love how Home Depot and Lowe's have all these handicap spaces in construction, right? But again, there's no scam here. A few months ago, remember going into Lowe's, and I parked, and I watched these two people come out, two beautiful young people. They look like Olympians. And I'm telling you, they were slinging boards and doing this. Meanwhile, they did handicap. They parked in the handicap in a big truck, right? I mean, they're living high on the hog, right? They're having a great time, right? And again, were they really disabled? Of course not. But, they're all collecting. I bet you they go to the gym and have a great time. clearly they were gaming the system, because the lawyers and the doctors get together and put the claim through. So multiple people win. Well, almost everyone, because, you're the sucker working, right? You're the sucker like me working. We get the bill. They get the check. We get the bill. That's the way that works. That's all government does is redistribute wealth. That's the thing you have to understand. Both parties. That's all they're good at is creating a program, whether if it's, even if you give, like let's say, you give maybe what you do is instead of giving a company a check, right? You eliminate their taxes. Oh, that's just as good as a check, right? So who's not going to file for that, right? And think about it. You know what? When you're young and you go to do stuff and it costs a lot of money, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, like body surfing at the ocean, right? Or backpacking. That doesn't cost anything, right? So you get a few bucks from unemployment or disability or whatever. You're living a good life. And you want to do those things, to be honest, before you get old. And unemployment insurance or disability or any of this stuff, it allows you to live the life that you wouldn't be living if you were working at that job. And again, I'm not insulting people who prefer leisure to work. You'd be a moron to pick work over hanging out while getting paid, right? I mean, that's just common sense, right? It's like, oh yeah, I don't want that lottery ticket. Sure, in the event that a job is satisfying, sure, some jobs are. But when you get to the middle, lower runs of employment, which are the majority of jobs, right? So we're talking about, middle to lower jobs, right? Those people, they're not dumb enough, not to take the free money. So I'm going to talk about COVID fraud, right? So, and again, all of this dovetails, right? Think about how people act, right? I remember COVID, and part of the scam was to hand everybody a check, right? Trump was so proud. Like, yeah, I'm going to put my name on that check, right? I'm going to hand it out. They're going to love me, right? It's the first time ever that a president put their name on a freaking government check, right? And to be honest with you, I know Ron Paul, there were a few libertarians out there, us libertarians, we seen it. We seen the scam before anyone else, just to let you know. But here's the thing. Very few people complained, right? About staying home, right? It wasn't until the money ran out or the checks weren't enough, then people started to complain. Why weren't people at first marching in the streets and protesting? Why? Why at first weren't people, they didn't say anything? Because they were being paid to sit home, right? They could barbecue, hang out, drink beers, play with the kids. The kids loved it. As much as the parents cry about, my kid got hurt from not going to school. The kids loved it, right? They didn't have to go to school, right? They had no responsibilities. Maybe they could hang out with their friends. Parents too. I know a lot of parents, they got to spend more time with their children, right? Who wouldn't want to do that unless you don't like your kids, right? It really wasn't until those COVID checks started to run out that all the attitude changed, right? Once we started missing toilet paper and lumber prices started to go wild, right? And inflation started to take hold, right? And those checks ran out. Then all of a sudden people started to care. But before that, I'll tell you what, on Facebook, on every platform, let me tell you something, I was all alone. But the thing that pisses me off with COVID is I have a lot of Republican friends who agreed with me at the time that now pretend that Republicans did not shut down their states. I played video. As a matter of fact, I played clips of DeSantis right on this program, shutting down his state, Texas shutting down his state, South Carolina shutting down their state. I played all Republican states. Why? Because people need to stop bullshitting people, right? I was there. I lived it, okay? I don't have to prostitute myself for either party. And COVID was a massive fraud. Some of the largest fraud in history back in March of 2020 when it first started. And I was right because I understood human nature, right? And that whenever government makes a program, people would take advantage of it. People took advantage of PPP loans, right? I can't tell you how many hedge fund companies took PPP loans, right? Or big companies took these loans, right? They didn't have to take these loans, but they took them anyway. Why? Because they fit the box. And, you know, how many people, again, when you look at Republicans and Democrats, again, it was us libertarians in the middle that were like, hey, wait, this is wrong, right? We shouldn't be paying people to sit home, right? This is bad for the economy. This is bad for, you know, the social structure of the country, right? But nobody wanted to listen. It was like, hey, you know, we're out having fun. It's a good time, until the money ran out. And most people didn't give a damn, and they just wanted their checks and daytime drinking. And just to understand, I'm not calling these people lazy, because many times they aren't lazy. Many are smart people. These are people who are making rational decisions for themselves and what they enjoy. You cannot be lazy. I'm sorry, you can be lazy. You cannot be, you can be not lazy and not working, right? It's your preference. I kind of jumbled that up a little bit. You know, it's really how you want to spend your time. You know, what makes you happy. You know, a lot of people hate working and they don't want to work, especially if the job you have is unfulfilling or boring, right? People on Social Security who, you know, fit the box, who can work, but say, hey, I'm going to retire, right? They're not lazy, right? They're just smart, right? They're making a rational decision for themselves to stop working. But here's the truth. If, let's say there was no Social Security, what would they do? They'd stay working, right? They'd go, maybe they'd start a business or, you know, keep working, but they certainly would not be sitting home drinking lattes, you know, watching bullshit programs on TV all day. Even though the majority of seniors can work when they file for retirement benefits, they're just doing what makes sense for most of them. You know, it's the same thing with unemployed people collecting a check, taking advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. That's why whenever I hear about government efficiency, my head wants to explode. Because I understand that government cannot be efficient. All government does is redistribute wealth, right? That's all it does. And many times, talking about unemployment insurance, many people will purposely get fired to collect it. It has happened to me many times throughout the lifetime of my companies. And I guarantee you that you've either seen it or done it yourself. You know, think about it. You know what? When you have 70% of people who are unsatisfied with their job, they're going to take advantage of it. You know, let me give you one more major distinctive to not look for a job while unemployed. Think about it. Think about the effective tax rate. You could be taxed 70, 80, even 90% when you factor in the loss of benefits. And all the taxes you're now going to pay while working, right? Because you don't only lose the check that you give up, but you're also going to lose the taxes they're going to take out of the new check, right? So it's actually a dumb move, right, to go looking for work. To go back to work before the benefits run out. And most people will ride the benefits all the way till the checks stop coming in. Not including, and something that they always do, even when they know it's their last check, they always look to see, oh, will they send an extra one? They always wait, you know. Not including all the costs. Don't forget, you know, there's a lot of costs associated with going to work, you know, like paying for gas, right? Maybe you got to buy a bus ticket or a train ticket, right? You got to now eat out for lunch, right? Those costs are higher than staying home, right? Plus it's tougher, right? You got to sit in traffic, right? You got to deal with people, you know, deal with other employees, you know, deal with a manager, you know, deal with a boss. Who wants to do that, right? Also, you have a lot of people who will be collecting unemployment, disability, or even retirement benefits and work under the table for various reasons, right? Because again, right, they want to keep it going, right? So you have people in all three categories, unemployment, disability, and retirement, that all work under the table, right? Those people aren't stupid, right? They aren't lazy, right? They just aren't willing to surrender their benefits for a job, right? Think about the explosion of people in disability. What do you think? All of a sudden we had a pandemic of disabled people in America, right? I mean, it's complete nonsense. And, so look, we did not have an explosion of disabled people just show up on the scene, right? What happened is the government, created this program, and people like, hey, maybe, my shoulder hurts, or, oh, my ass, my back, I can't work, right? But, they could screw and drink and fuck and have a good time, right? They could do all that, right? But, they could drive, they could race, they could climb mountains, right? Shoot guns and have a good time, right? But you can't get a job, right? You can fuck around on Facebook all day and, do all that, right? But you can't get a job, right? It's complete nonsense. And look, I wanted to get on and talk about something that you're not hearing on TV, right? I'm telling you like it is. Basic economics. Where the fraud actually comes from is government, right? It's from government, and look, and that's the fraud, right? The fraud are the entitlements, right? The fraud are the programs, right? When the government creates them, right? So look, next time you're mad at somebody taking advantage of Section 8 or taking advantage of some benefit, right? Why don't you be mad at the fucking politician who created the dumb program instead of blaming the people who were just taking advantage of what the government gave, right? They gave away your money. Now look, maybe you're one of the bleeding hearts that are like, oh, I want to help the world and I want to help those people, right? Great. Then you take in those people, right? You lead by example, right? What you don't do is use the government to steal your neighbor's wealth, right? To pay for a bunch of freeloaders. Listen, I love you. Listen, if you like videos like this, go to Brew Media at youtube.com. Like, share, comment, follow. Come on, let's get these numbers up. I appreciate you. Don't be a poser. Do the right thing. Support the Constitution. I love you. Love your family. I'll talk to you later. God bless.